want to share it on our page? It's
Yeah.
already there.
Oh.
Because it's on our page.
Anyways, it is 8:00 p.m.
on a Thursday night, and I am Dave.
And I'm Marcia Ann. We are the Condens.
And this is a Healthy Heart, Healthy Marriage, and this is number 9.
Yeah. And right now it's been about just some marriage tips. That's kind of how it started. Just we're starting off with marriage tips and just the stuff that we've learned in our marriage so far, which is we're about to celebrate 11 years.
Yeah.
And this is not our first rodeo, so some of these tips come from learning that from the previous marriage, what didn't work,
from making the mistakes.
So some of these tips come from that, and that we just wanted to share that because it definitely caused problems and issues in previous marriages. So great to be able to learn from your mistakes and then change things.
Yes, and do things differently.
Do it differently.
And
so
not
many
repeat.
times, we don't learn. And we just keep repeating.
Don't want to repeat the same cycles over and over again. So we're cycle breakers.
Yes, so we
not
are
cycle
actually
makers.
I think God has just blessed us to be cycle breakers because we broke so many cycles ourselves. And so what you go through and get breakthrough in, He then blesses you to be able to do that and pass that on.
Yep.
So tonight's topic is, last week was on talking or the words.
Yeah.
So this week is that as well, but more so behind the back of your spouse. So what do we do when we have a problem with our spouse and or not even a problem? We just get together with friends. We get together with the girls, or we get together with the guys. What do we speak about our spouse? And it does matter because as you curse your spouse, say things bad about your spouse, you are projecting it out. And each person you speak about this to, they might talk about it. That's what you don't realize is what if the things you say, now they're passing it on to their significant other, their husband, and he talks about it with other people, and each person you've talked about it to, they talk about it. And soon you have defiled the character of the person you're supposed to be in union with. And it's going to cause conflict. It's going to cause also the enemy to be able to come in, have access into your marriage and do what he wants to as well. Because he loves stuff like that. He loves to, as you see what he even did in heaven, cause division.
Yeah, there was one of the verses I ran across today during that was Proverbs 16:28. It was, a troublemaker plants seeds of strife, and gossip separates the best of friends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it will cause a division, especially, and what is done in darkness the Lord will bring light to it. He will bring it to the surface. And that is going to cause trust issues in your marriage. You're going to become an unsafe place for your spouse. It's going to cause rejection, heartache. It's just not kind. And the Lord does not want, He is not about us talking bad about His sons and daughters to anyone. And what tends to happen when we get into ourselves, and I have to say it's a very selfish place, because we're not thinking of anyone else when we're doing this. We're thinking of ourselves. If we get angry, resentful towards somebody, towards our husband, towards our wife, because we have been wounded in a sense, we feel they have hurt us in some way, and what we do is we can tend to try to find an alliance. We want people that are going to saddle up next to us, and they're going to believe us, and they're going to also not like our spouse. And you get together with these people and it becomes just a gripe session about your spouse. Well, what if you make amends with your husband, but yet they're still thinking of him or her as this bad person.
Right.
The key is to stay safe and honoring of your husband or wife, regardless of what they've done. And we, I think, know this because we've done it. We've done the backstabbing. We've done the poisonous darts.
You did? To me?
No, actually. Yeah.
Yes.
And so it is just not a good idea.
No, and that brings me to Ephesians 4:29 was the other one that came up, was don't use foul or abusive language. Let everything you say be good and helpful, so that your words will be encouragement to those who hear them. And that's something he was
Hi, Shannon.
working with me is in regards to am I cursing or am I blessing? And so that is something I've been working with. Where I'm always doing a blessing instead of so the words are encouraging, so they're building up and edifying.
Yeah, and the other thing you need to take into consideration is every one of those are seeds you plant. Mm-hmm. So you're going to reap it. So as you talk behind your spouse's back, or anybody, but we're mainly discussing spouses and marriages, you've just planted seeds of gossip and backstabbing, or and then that's what you're going to reap. So I'm just going to say, don't be surprised. Don't be like crying, what is it, cry wolf or whatever. When you find out people are talking about you behind your back, and you're like the talk of the office or whatever, and you're all upset because you found out these people were talking about you, and don't be surprised. Like it's going to happen because you've been doing it to others, and so it's going to come around to bite you in the touche.
In the touche.
And that was a hard lesson to learn, and I had to sit there. You have to swallow your pride, and pride comes before the fall. What I learned, and I learned this growing up from my grandmother, and my mom used to tell the story about my grandmother and how she would. There was like the group of ladies that would talk bad. There's all in there. Sorry, I don't think men do this. Is it just women? Women tend to get together and then they're just like, "Did you hear it?" It's just, and it's really sad. But they do to feel better about themselves.
Sure.
You got to tear other people down, and there was these group of ladies that were doing that, and my grandmother happened to be there. And she stopped the woman who was, I guess, the main leader of gossip. And she just said, you married? The woman said, yes, I'm married. Don't you have children? She goes, yes, I do have children. She goes, well, how do you find time to talk and find out all this stuff about someone else and talk about her? And it shut the woman up. And I think every one of them. I love my grandmother for that. She was she was probably 4'9", little Sicilian woman. But the other thing that she used to say, and then my mom did too, is if they're not in the room, don't talk about them.
Right.
And there's been even Bible studies that I've said that. And I'm just like, if this is what the study is about, and y'all are just talking about other women in the church, then I'm not going to be a part of it. Because I'm not. I don't want to be a part of that energy, of that spirit of gossip that needs to defile other people. And it is a way to just feel better about yourself.
Sure, absolutely. It's working on your own insecurities. So you're actually secure with who you are, that you don't need to.
Well, you're very insecure with who you are,
right.
actually.
So you become secure with who you are, so you do not need to.
Yes.
Talk bad about someone else to bring yourself up.
Right. And to see it from the heart perspective of the Father, because they're his children. Mm-hmm. So everybody that you defile behind their back, you're actually saying that about God, because God created them in his image. So you're saying, you know what? I don't approve of that about you either, God, or that. Right. And I'm actually defiling you too. And I think it's always trying to get a different perspective, not look through the lens of gossip or the lens of insecurity or I'm not good enough.
Or your anger.
Or my sister hurt me, so this person reminds me of my sister, so I'm going to talk bad about her. Because in many cases, that's all it is that they might remind you of somebody who hurt you. And so you just feel it and you just don't like them. But it's really because they remind you of someone who hurt you. So the key is to go past that. I always say do the quick self-checkup. Ooh, what am I doing? Okay, wait, this is this person personally did not hurt me. I'm being triggered by something, but I'm not going to throw up on them.
Right.
what I didn't throw up on my sister.
Right. Right.
And the same thing with your husband. You know what?
So
This is something that I will talk about with my husband. I don't need to get a whole group of women also against my husband.
Don't need it. No, don't need to get that alliance going.
Yeah, I don't need an alliance for this.
Same here.
It might feel good, and I get to speak out and hear myself talk about it, which sometimes can just be all you want.
You're able to vent it out, but that's what the problem is. What you're venting out is not
Edifying towards that person.
Right, and vice versa. So I don't want to be going out and call my buddy. Dude, you should. What happened? You don't want to be doing that, because all I'm doing is tearing you down. I'm not building you up. I'm not showing how wonderful and grateful you are, and how awesome you are. It's tearing you down, and it's not speaking truth. It's speaking lies.
Right. Right. And it's just your perspective of what happened too. It's not necessarily truth.
Right.
And I think that's what so many people need to understand. Just because it's your perspective of what happened does not mean it's truth. Just like in both parties, when you ever get into a disagreement, it is still two separate people's brains, two separate people's experiences in life, two separate people's hearts and the heart posture and the lens that they're looking through at that situation. And so you have to recognize that too and say, okay, wait, I'm not going to try to force my perspective down on the other person. I need to allow them to have their feelings, their emotions, and be okay with that. And emotionally, a dominant person, especially if they're not healthy emotionally, they will cause their dysfunction within is going to splash out everywhere, and then the home is going to just take on that dysfunctional look of the heart. And so what we have to understand is to recognize it and just be like, okay, wait, I need to look at this through a different lens. Let me look through this a lens of love for my husband here.
Right.
And let me still love him and choose to love him, even though I might not like him right now. I mean, there's been many a times, hi Laura, thank you for joining us. There's some times where I didn't like Dave, but I still had to honor him and be honoring to him and speak honoring of him when I wasn't in his presence. And that, let me tell you, if you want to build your character, do that.
Yeah, sometimes
you
that's
will
tough.
build character within yourself. And the next time it gets easier, and it soon gets easier because that character strength is stronger. The more you practice it, the stronger it gets. And that goes both ways. If you go to gossip and that's the first thing you do is to go in and talk bad and get your you got to sit there and speak down about that person you're angry with. Well, that too can get easier, where it just becomes second nature, and you're speaking bad about everybody because they're just not like you. And you know what? Sometimes we got to get over ourselves.
Yes, we do.
No, people aren't like us, and that's okay. Yeah. What else? What else? This is a subject, and we will talk about subjects that are hard. They're hard things to talk about.
It's sometimes it's hard when you've been triggered, and you just want to go off and vent and be upset and get it all out. Yeah, it's tough sometimes to stop and say no. That's not going to help the situation at all. It's not going to bring reconciliation or closure. It's going to just add fuel to the fire. So that is sometimes where it's okay. You take a little break. I need to go process some stuff. See, why did I get so upset? And am I really upset at Marcia Ann, or am I upset at something that happened in my past that's coming up, and I just don't like that feeling? Or
is she reminding me of my mom right now?
Yeah, we've done that a few times, but then it's turning around, taking that, and coming back together, and approaching the conflict in a positive way, and to have reconciliation instead of us tearing each other down. I'm shaking. Oh, sorry, my knee is bumping the.
We're gonna be like
setting. Woo, be jiggling.
We're gonna look like bobbleheads.
That's all we need.
We need to make some of those.
That'd
You can
be fun.
do that. We
Oh,
should
my
make some
God.
Condon bobbleheads. What are you doing? What are you doing? I don't know what you're doing.
I don't know what you're doing. That's part of it. Also, is just enjoying having fun while we're doing it, even though sometimes we're
talking
upset.
about serious stuff.
Yeah. So,
But these things are what poison a marriage. So
right,
we're talking about
because you planted a seed, and that seed is there, and it's going to grow. And it's not a positive seed; it's a negative seed. And I don't want weeds.
Yeah.
I
want a beautiful garden.
Absolutely, I want a beautiful garden. So
yeah, and
you have to be careful what you're cultivating in your garden. If
what are you planting?
If you're cultivating the weeds
of dishonor, gossip,
that's what you're going to receive. That's the fruit you're going to have out of that relationship.
Yeah, yeah, and the thing is, and something the Holy Spirit will say to me when I am overreacting or I have taken something very personally, and I snap off at him, and he'll stop me to go, what if he said that to you? Mm-hmm. What if he just acted the way you just did? How would you feel? And it stops me short. I have to say, it stops me in my tracks, and it goes, whoa, because once again, I'm getting the perspective from the Holy Spirit, who is grounded in truth. Mm-hmm. Instead of my truth, which would be like, I'm mad, I'm angry, I've got now Holy Spirit.
He did it again? I can't believe he did that again.
Which is stable, established in love and truth. And so he's going to bring that at me. And in many cases, it doesn't feel good when he does. It's a conviction. It's done lovingly, but it's still a conviction. But it gives you the opportunity right then to shift and change if you desire. He never forces it. We then have that free will. And that's something that we do as a ministry. We will never force anything on you.
Yeah.
We will just share our hearts. We will ask those hard questions that we hope that you'll look at yourself and then choose to change if you desire.
Right.
If you don't, that's fine too. We don't ever, we understand some people aren't ready to change.
Right.
They kind of like their cycles because then they can talk about it and stay there. That
right.
It's doing something
it's
for them.
comfortable for them. It puts them into a comfortable place with what they're familiar with instead of stepping outside themselves and changing and growing. And
Yeah, I think we were both there at some point
absolutely.
too. It was always everybody else's fault.
Yeah. Oh, still.
Always. It was whoever, moms, dads,
right.
Dad's brothers, moms,
Yeah.
sister's friend. I mean, you'll find someone, the person in the grocery aisle.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That
You'll
server
figure it out.
at your restaurant, your sisters, your brothers, the list can go on because that's what denial will do. You don't want to look at yourself. You deny really the truth.
Yes, and so what we like to do is when we're doing sessions is asking the questions and letting the person really think about it and getting into the situation.
Yeah.
And looking.
See the different perspective.
Yeah,
possibly.
Possibly a different. You don't have to be the victim. You don't have to be angry. We can work through this and figure out what's going on.
Right. And that's important in marriages is to recognize that you are contributing to whatever is going on in the home.
Yeah.
It takes two. It's not always just
one person.
The husband's fault. It's not always just the wife's fault. There's two.
Yep.
So it's important to be aware of that.
Two to tango.
Yep.
That's what they say.
I always think yes, but I keep thinking of that other song. It takes two to make things go right. It takes two to make it outside.
Oh, better not do that. They were going to kick us off.
Oh, right. Oh, my gosh. I just sang lyrics to a song.
Yeah. So, sorry if we get kicked off and we get booted, but.
That's right. They're really big with that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All right.
That was funny, though, in that
It
show.
was.
I'm thinking of Ryan Reynolds and Proposal.
The Proposal with Sandra Bullock. That's one of our favorite movies.
Yeah, you just want to laugh.
Yep. It's a good
Okay.
one. All right. So we are
out of
at
time.
8:18. We have a couple minutes. So we just want to say thank you so much for stopping and visiting us here on Thursday night for our 20-minute little session.
Yeah, and please like us. We're Condon Ministry, CONGDON. G is silent.
Like, subscribe, friend us.
On Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.
Comment, send us a message.
Yes.
Say hi.
Any questions you have?
Yeah.
Love to hear and
Chat.
touch base on them.
Sounds great. All right.
God bless,
everyone.
guys.
Take care.